Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I am honored to welcome a legendary figure in the world of mainframe technology and training, Darren Surch, who is joining us all the way from Australia. If I introduce Darren, then he is one of only two lifetime IBM champion for IBM Z, and currently he is currently contributing to the IT industry as a CEO of Interskill Learning. So, today in this episode, we will explore Darren's roots and how his upbringing shaped his values and career path. We will also discuss what it means to become a lifetime IBM champion, the challenges and the triumphs of developing industry leading training program. But before we begin, I would like to thank Darren Surch for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us something about yourself.
I mean, thank you for the invite to chat with you. I've got to compliment you on how successful this podcast has been. You've had some amazing guests, so again, my honor to be included on your list of guests. Um, as said, my name's Darren Surch, CEO of Interskill Learning, biggest mainframe training company in the world. I am just one correction. I'm based in Charleston in South Carolina. I am an Aussie, obviously, but I've been in the US since 1995. So I've been living and working over here in the US. So yeah, Darren Surch from Interskill. I've had a bit of a different angle on the mainframe industry and a mainframe career. I'm classically trained originally as a COBOL and CIX programmer, but I found my way into the education side of things. And obviously, mainframe skills are very, very important to this industry and to the
Yes.
longevity of this industry. So I've sort of served the industry and been part of the industry in a different aspect, and I've looked at it from a different angle, from the skills side of things, from the education side of things. So it's been after 35 years a mainframer. It's been a fantastic ride so far, and looking forward to the next. Well, I'll be retired before the next 35, hopefully. But looking forward to the next decade to see what happens with the mainframe.
Okay, all right. So, Darren, like before we start the technical discussion, I would love to hear more about your journey. Like, can you take us back to your roots first? Like, what was it like growing up in the Australian bush, and how did that shape your values and career path?
I got to say, from watching some of your other podcasts, I appreciate your questions as well. You obviously do good research on your guests before the podcasts, so these are great questions. Um, yeah, I grew up in the bush in Australia. The nearest town to our farm was population 11, so there was not many people around. But growing up in the country, I think, has given me for my life the sort of attitude where you're open and you want to help out other people and lift other people up and so forth. It's a bit of a country kids attitude. I was originally a hydrographer, so I finished high school and got my qualifications as a hydrographer, which is a water resources scientist managing the rivers and lakes and underground water of Australia, because Australia is such a dry continent. And by sheer chance, I headed off overseas to do some traveling, as a lot of young Aussies do, and ended up spending nearly 3 years just sort of traveling around the world and meeting people and experiencing things. And some of the people that I met along the way were mainframe programmers, and we had a good long conversation at an Oktoberfest in Munich in I think 1989, and they convinced me that computing, because I suppose Windows 1 was released in 85, wasn't it? So, in the late 80s, mainframe computing was basically computing. If you wanted to get into computers, you were a mainframer. So when I got back after my travels to Australia, I took a course in COBOL and CIX programming, a 12-month course at a college, and the rest is history. So I became a mainframer in 1990. It's been it's been an interesting run. I mean, Interskill was the precursor of Interskill was a company called DataTask, which was that college in Australia that I went to. And they were just dabbling with this brand new thing called computer-based training. Remember, this is before the internet. And most training on the mainframe was, if a company needed to train some of their personnel, or if someone needed training on a mainframe topic, they went to IBM, and IBM signed them up for a class, and it was instructor-led training, and that was the only way that training was done. There was a gentleman by the name of Ray Menzies and a lady by the name of Deborah Scott, who were heads of this college, and they started to build this computer-based training, and asked me if I wanted to join them building the CBT, computer-based training, and I said yes. It sounded very interesting, and that was the start of Interskill. I mean, we had 4 or 5 courses. Like I noticed, you've got some great courses on your YouTube channel, so things start small. But we built that up over 35 years to be a company that now delivers over 1 million hours of mainframe training annually. So from humble beginnings, Ray Menzies has since retired. Deborah Scott is still based in Australia, still in charge of developing our courseware after all these years, and is responsible for the way that our courseware is an industry standard, basically. So Deborah's just done remarkable work over these years, and Interskill has everything to thank her for. Um, so yeah, that was Interskill, and we expanded to the UK and expanded to the US, and you know found ourselves where we are today, training the world. So it's been a remarkable journey. Sometimes you can plan your career and drive in certain directions. Sometimes there's also a component where fate
Agree.
takes you in certain directions, and you just have to go along for the ride and make the most of that.
Agree. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the IBM Champion program, because we all know that Lifetime IBM Champion title is quite prestigious title, right? So I just want to know, like, how does this recognition mean to you personally as well as professionally, and how does it has shaped your work? Like, what things were changed after you got this title?
That's a great question. Yeah, the IBM Champion program. If any of your listeners don't know about it, please Google that and have a look. Currently run by Libby Ingracia, who's just a remarkable person, and a great influencer on my career. Um, the IBM Champion program recognizes people for advocacy on IBM products and IBM technologies, and to another extent, just for lifting the industry and for giving back and for thought leadership and all of these good things that lift up an industry and make a difference in the world and in people's lives and so forth. So it recognizes people who make a difference. There are, I think, 1,200 or so IBM champions across all of
Yes.
IBM's technologies. I think there's about 110, 120 in the mainframe space. And this happens each year. People have to apply or be nominated by others to receive that IBM champion recognition, and they have to do a certain amount of advocacy, speak at conferences, write articles, do coaching and mentoring, develop content, do user groups, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all of these sort of acts of advocacy. And if you continue with that, you'll continue to be an IBM champion. I was lucky enough, honored to be named a lifetime IBM champion. I think there's only 28 people ever named lifetime IBM champion
Yeah.
across all of the technologies, and there's only two, Dusty Rivers, a remarkable gentleman, and
Yeah.
myself are the only two that have been named a lifetime IBM champion for IBM Z for the mainframe. So it means a lot. I mean, it's recognition of all that I've done, and I suppose it's also recognition of all of my colleagues and the people in the Interskill team that have helped make Interskill such a success, which has given me that platform to really speak to the industry and help lift up mainframe skills and donate and all of that sort of stuff. So I don't hold this title alone. I owe this title to a lot of people. I owe gratitude to a lot of people for sort of helping me get to this place. But it's a passion. I love it. I love lifting
Yes.
up the mainframe industry and making sure that mainframe skills are continuing to thrive.
Okay, all right. So, Darren, during your introduction, you mentioned one thing that you started as a hydrographer, right? So, because with this statement, your journey seems very fascinating as well as very interesting because you started as a hydrographer managing the water resources, right? And then later on, you switched to this industry. So, what initially inspired you to make this kind of leap into the world of technology?
Was interesting. The traveling, if you get the chance
Mm-hmm.
in this life, travel. That was a real awakening for me. You know, a boy from the bush in Australia. I had a great career as a hydrographer and was doing good work.
Yeah.
But I think people tend to live in their little bubble of their country or their region or the people that they know and so forth. When you travel, when you wander around the world and meet people, you start to sort of believe that anything's possible. You know, you see some amazing people achieving
Yes.
amazing things, and you think, yeah, I could do that. So you start to raise your sights and your goals and think, okay, I could do anything. Um, and as I said, some people that I met in my travels were talking about computer programming and the mainframe and how the business world, I suppose the world of computing back in the 80s, revolved around these mainframe systems. And I was just hooked. I thought, this sounds fantastic. I suppose part of what drives me is that I want to, we're only a short time on this planet. I'd like my work, my career to make a difference, to impact
Yes.
the world, to do good. And I looked at mainframe computing and I thought, this is a way that I can really make a difference in the world. I can help with making these amazing systems run and run the banks or the governments or the insurance companies or wherever they are to really make a difference. And I suppose there's a certain personality type that likes the mainframe as well. We are curious, intellectually curious people. We are problem solvers. We are interested in that sort of stuff. So it just looked like a very interesting career for me.
Yes, and you are talking about making an impact. So for sure, like you are making an impact with Interskill Learning, and we wanted to learn more and more about this because the kind of courses you are providing through this platform is very useful, not only for those person like who wanted to start their career, but also for the professionals, right? IT professionals who are pursuing their career. So this is
Yeah,
something really a good thing that you are doing, and you are really making a great impact, you and your entire team. And
thank you.
here I would like to learn more about your journey with the only. So could you please tell us about the early days of Interskill Learning, like, and your role in developing in this one of the world's most delivered mainframe training program? Like, what challenges did you face at that time, and what kept you so motivated throughout your journey?
Yeah, the early days of computer-based training were pretty interesting because it was so new.
Hmm.
We would go and talk to mainframe managers at these organizations that ran mainframes and try and explain computer-based training to them, and they'd be looking at me like this, thinking, what is this strange thing that you're trying to tell me about? Because everyone had done classroom training. So that was one of the challenges early on was just getting people to even consider doing digital training. Your generation now and the younger generations, even than you, have done e-learning, digital training
Yes.
since they were at school. So it's just a normal thing for you now. But try and imagine people back in the early 90s who had only ever done classroom training, trying to explain what e-learning, well, it wasn't even e-learning then, it was computer-based training because it was before the internet.
Yeah.
So trying to explain to them that they could do digital-based mainframe training was quite a lift. And we had our successes and, and we had our failures. Some people just weren't interested. They wanted to do classroom training, but there was more and more and more growing interest in doing digital training, and then the internet hit,
Yeah.
And that's what really lifted this to a whole new level, because suddenly, instead of having digital training on a standalone PC in a training room somewhere, you could have via the internet on a learning management system.
Yes.
You could scale this training out to your entire workforce with a couple of clicks. And suddenly the corporations looked at it and said, hey, this is a way we can really train our people and make sure that their skills are kept up. Because, you know, corporations that send their mainframers off to one class, one instructor-led class a year, and check the box and say, okay, they've done some training. That's not enough. For anybody that's going to have a successful career, if you're picking up one extra skill or brushing up on one skill a year, that's not enough. You've got to
Right.
be lifting your skills up on a broad variety of areas. So corporations looked at it and said, okay, of course we'll still do instructor-led training. Of course we'll still send people off to conferences. Of course we'll do coaching and mentoring. Please, everybody should be doing coaching and mentoring.
Right.
But this e-learning, what it became, this big resource of e-learning, became this sort of a central resource of instantly on-demand training. And corporations saw that. So our company really boomed with the internet. Um, I think the next big jump for Interskill was when IBM came out, must be 10 years ago now. IBM came out with the digital badge program,
Yeah.
IBM Digital Badge Program, and for again, for any of your listeners who spend any time on LinkedIn, um, they're they would have seen IBM digital badges or digital credentials of some sort. I think
Yes.
this is really, well, statistically, it has. It's massively increased the incentive for people to do training. People want to earn these credentials. They want to have these badges on their LinkedIn profiles to show what they know. Um, and so people that previously might have said, will I do some training this year? Maybe, yeah, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't, blah, blah, blah. This, with digital badges, people will say, yeah, I gotta earn this badge. Let me do this
Yes.
course. Let me get through this course. Let me concentrate, make sure that I understand it so I can pass this test and earn this credential and put it up on LinkedIn and have all my friends say, "Hey, well done," and my bosses say, "Oh, that's fantastic. He's got these skills or she's got these skills."
Right.
So digital credentialing has massively increased. I mean, just from Interskill's point of view, we were doing 260,000 hours of mainframe training annually before the badge program, which is an enormous amount of training. But
Hmm.
we're up over 1 million now. So it's quadrupled the amount of training done
Yes.
globally of the Interskill courseware, because we tied in so tightly with IBM's badge program. And digital credentialing um, across the world is used, not just for education. There's all sorts of awards. Countries and cities and things are looking at it for social security numbers and driver's licenses and all sorts of other things. There is metadata in the digital credential,
Yeah.
and it uses blockchain, so it can't be forged. And it's a very, very secure way of having any sort of credential like that. So digital credentialing, I think, again, for your viewers, is going to be more and more and more and more prevalent as
Right.
time goes on. But as far as mainframe training goes, this was one of the big lifts for us. And I suppose this um, ongoing focus in the mainframe space that skills are important. You know, universities, not so many universities are churning out people that program COBOL or Kix or understand the mainframe anymore. So mainframers typically need to be trained at their
Agree.
job. And corporations have to. They just have to. If a corporation is investing in a mainframe system, if a corporation's success depends on their mainframe system, then it depends on their workforce and how skilled they are. And the one sure way you have of knowing that your personnel are skilled and can do their jobs optimally is to have really good internal training and lift these people up them yourself as an organization and make sure that their skills are spot on. And again, that's where Interskill fits in. We're basically the only digital training company in the world that has a big e-learning component for mainframe, and again, and digital credentialing tied into that. So it's very widely used.
Right. And I completely agree here with you on this point that yes, the training that we are provided through college and university is not enough because we have to work as a professional. So we need some kind of helping hand, the kind which Interskill is providing by providing those learning material and those dedicated course, which will not only help them to clear the concept, but it will also teach them how to utilize in real life scenarios, right? So this is
Yeah.
something that I really agree upon.
If I can add one more thing as well, something that I'm seeing just over the last 3 or 4 years, which
Hmm.
is just fantastic. People used to be considered a mainframer. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you would identify as being a mainframer, and you knew your mainframe skills. I think these days, Stephen Perver was one of your guests earlier on, and
Yes.
I know he says this all the time. We are technologists. You know what I mean? The mainframe used to be this one system sitting in a data center, and it didn't talk to anything else, and the mainframe was all there was. These days, the mainframe is part of everything. Everything talks to the mainframe.
Yeah.
And so we in the industry are now technologists. We might come out of university and work on a distributed system, and we program C and Java and Python and so forth. But as a programmer, if we can learn COBOL, which is not a hard language to learn, this is an English language-based
Yes. Right.
programming language. COBOL kicks, understand the mainframe environment. Suddenly, we're a programmer, but working with the mainframe. If we're a good systems person working on distributed systems, we understand the logic of how systems work and how to be an administrator on a system, on a computer system. Let's learn some mainframe skills, learn how the mainframe system works. Suddenly we can be working on the mainframe. So I think as technologists, we need to be broadly skilled. And
Right.
as I was saying, corporations are starting to look at this and say, hey, we've got, 5,000 people here on our distributed systems that are good programmers. They're good system administrators. They're good security administrators. If we can give them the mainframe skills, suddenly we've got some of these 10,000 people that might say, oh, that's a pretty interesting
Yes.
career. I'd like to work on the mainframe. That's an amazing system. And you can bring them across instead of having to go and fight everybody for the few graduates coming out of university. You can just train up internally your own skilled systems people and security people and programmers and so forth, with those extra mainframe skills, and then just bring them across.
Right.
And again, this makes even the mainframe personnel more broadly skilled because they've worked on the distributed systems and now they're working on the mainframe systems. So they understand the big picture, the entire system of your organization, and they're broadly skilled and they're bringing new ideas and all of this sort of stuff. So I think as technology personnel, as technologists, it's
Mhm.
important for our careers that we become more broadly skilled, like you're doing with IBM I. People need to know these different systems and how they work and how they fit into the big picture, the hybrid cloud,
Right.
and it can only help your career. I'm sorry I got so long-winded. I'm rambling on here.
No, no, it's okay. All right. Okay, so like we have already started the discussion regarding the mainframe and we have talked about it, right? So I just want to ask one more question because there are some claim that the mainframe is a legacy technology and it is about to die. There are many other myths around this mainframe technology. So
Sure.
I just want to hear your thought, or maybe you can say your clarification because it will impact lots of other folks who still believing in those kind of myths. So, what is your opinion on legacy system, or I would say legendary systems or technology mainframe?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason that the mainframe still handles 70-80% of the business transactions in the world and still stores a vast majority of the business data in the world. Um,
Right.
Mainframes are not gaming PCs. They're not, you know, distributed systems that are used for different tasks. Mainframes have a task. I think an analogy I heard used once was pretend you have a moving company and you have a big 18-wheel truck and you have a moving van for furniture and you have a pickup truck. If your company gets given a job to move 20 bags of sand, you won't use your huge truck, you'll use your pickup truck and move the sand. If you get asked to move furniture from a house with your company, you would use your furniture removal van and move that furniture. You wouldn't use your massive big 18 wheeler because you don't need to, it's expensive. And you wouldn't use your pickup truck because it couldn't carry the furniture. If you're going to get asked to move industrial equipment, you'd use your big 18 wheel truck. So the hybrid cloud computer systems these days are like that. You know, you use the system for the job that it does best and that other systems can't do. And the mainframe, with the security, with the transaction speed, with everything else that the mainframe does, there's no peer, there's no other system that can really do what the mainframe does for banks,
Right.
for insurance companies, for governments, for the companies that need the mainframes. There's nothing else that can really do that. The total cost of a mainframe is incredibly low for, again, for those specialist jobs that the mainframe does. Um, if IBM was sitting back and relaxing and letting the mainframe stay the same,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe there might be a time in the future where the mainframe was going to be, you know, become extinct, as people say. They call it the dinosaur. But
Yeah.
IBM's not doing that. I mean, IBM is innovating, and I would invite your readers to go and read any of the stuff on IBM.com on the new Telum 2 chip, or even the Telum chip, which was released a couple of years ago. But the Telum 2 chip and the Spire accelerator, the way that IBM is making sure that data is quantum safe now, because as quantum computing becomes more prevalent, the encryption, you know, no current encryption can stand up to quantum computing. It'll be able to crack any key. So quantum safe encryption, the AI inferencing embedded on the Telum chip means that credit card companies and banks can basically look at, with AI, can look at 100% of all transactions now and look for
Yes.
fraud and issues and so forth. Now, who else does that? There's no other system that can even come close to this stuff. This is in real time, um, on trillions of transactions. So I think the mainframe is going to continue being strong. I think with AI, um, the with AI being more widely used, I think the security of the data that AI is using as a language model is going to be more and more important. And again, the mainframe offers that security for that data, to make sure that AI is looking at correct data all the time, and nothing else is being inserted in there that could change
Yeah.
results. I hope that makes sense. I mean, I'm a technologist because I'm interested and because I love it. I'm definitely not somebody that's working working with IBM on AI, or I'm not one of these deep dive technologists, but just on an interest level. Um, there's still nothing that even comes close to what the mainframe does. So who can see 10 years in the future? I know I can't. But for the foreseeable future, for as far as I can see, the mainframe, because of IBM's innovation,
Yeah.
and all of the stuff they're doing, the mainframe's just going to continue to be strong for the task that it's best at, for big business.
Correct.
This is, people won't have mainframes sitting at their house to play games on, or a 20-person company won't run a mainframe to do their office stuff. But for big corporations, there's just nothing that compares to the mainframe, and for the foreseeable future, won't. It's strong. So the mainframe industry needs personnel. And again, that's where Interskill comes in. That's where IBM comes in. I mean, IBM does amazing training with Z Explore to get college and
Yeah.
university students started in the mainframe, and other Broadcom, IBM. They'll do academies and things like that. So there's a real push by the industry
Yes.
to get that next generation of mainframers coming, and that'll keep the industry strong.
Yes, for sure. Okay. So although like we have many things that we can discuss here, but just because of the limitation of time, I would like to ask my last question. And
Sure.
we all know, like as an lifetime IBM champion, and as a CEO, you are influencing many of the IT folks life, right? You are impacting various person life by your contribution and advocacy activities. Here I would like to ask, like, who have been the most influential person in your journey, including mentors, colleagues, or even the family member, like who have played a vital role in your journey?
That's a fantastic question. Yeah, thank you. Um, I suppose my parents, my grandmother, Eileen Search, was back in the early 1900s. She went to university to do mathematics
Okay.
when women did not go to university to do mathematics. Women went to university to do to sort of humanities and English and literature and things like that. But she was a mathematician, and she taught at university and wrote the state high school mathematics exam for years. And so she was a real leader in technology. She was an early computer person, taught her students computers because she realized how important they would be. So my grandma was an amazing innovator and a powerful, influential woman. Um, Ray Menzies that I mentioned before, and Deborah Scott that started Data Task, which became Interskill. Hats off to them. They've influenced me so much over the years, and what they started and what they have achieved. The number of people in the world that they've influenced by their idea, their computer-based training, and what it's become. All of Deborah's work over the years, just I'm in awe of all that they've done. Um, I'm trying to think. I wrote down some names. Libby Ingracia, obviously, at the
Yeah.
IBM Champion program, she's been a real influence. Jim Daniels, now at the Digital Badge Academy. Jim was the person who was the head of the team that started the IBM Badge program. He got me interested in digital credentialing and has been a real mentor to me. So Jim Daniels has been fantastic. That's really helped me out. And I suppose the current management team at Interskill, Pablo Mosca, Terri Teems, Giles Newson, globally, I learn from them and am inspired by them every day. So they've been a fantastic part of my journey. We've all worked for Interskill for 20, 30 years. So it's been an amazing team. And we've all formed sort of lifelong friendships. I think other IBM champions, the people I meet going to share conferences. There's
Yeah.
some amazing friends. The mainframe industry is like a big community.
Yes.
I've always said that to youngsters that are interested in maybe getting into the mainframe space. It's remarkable how the mainframe community helps everybody and lifts everybody up and answers any questions and supports people and so forth. I think this is just like a big global family. So it's a
Yes.
remarkable industry to be part of. So I suppose all mainframers, I'll give a shout out. I learn some from every one of you, and I'm glad to be part of this industry with you.
All right. So, yeah, thank you so much, Darren, for joining us today in this episode and for sharing so much expertise with us and for talking about your journey. It was really quite inspiring for all of the IT folks who also wanted to pursue or follow your path in IT industry. So, thank you once again for being a part of the show.
Thanks, Amit. Fantastic.